Now, with the passage of the Obamacare repeal bill today, you would think the people that voted for it would obviously have some idea what was in it. I mean, you'd have to know what you were voting for, right? Well, it turns out that Representative Joe Barton, who was interviewed during the vote, so this is before before the vote happened. Well, Joe Barton was interviewed on CNN, and it turns out that no, he had almost no idea what was in this bill and the effect of it. Now, let me show you a video clip of this exchange, and I got to give a little bit of credit to one of the hosts, John Berman, as well as Poppy Harlow, for actually being like, hey, do you actually know what's in this? Let's watch.
How confident are you that you guys are going to get this one through, that this plan 2.0 makes it through the House?
Well, you never know until the votes are up on the board, but if you had a betting line in Las Vegas, we, the Republicans who are for it, would be the favorite. I think it will pass. We won't have lots of votes to spare, but we'll have enough to get it over the finish line.
I think right now Vegas has you favored by a field goal, Congressman. You predicted that your state, you predicted that Texas, quote, would lead the parade to opt out of all the federal mandates. This has to do with some of the waivers that are provided here. Does that include the community rating that pretty much guarantees price equity for people with pre-existing conditions? Do you think Texas will lead the parade to opt out of that?
What we're trying to do is try to recreate a real health insurance market that's based on market economics, and I think Texas will lead the parade on that. But when you opt out of the federal mandates, that doesn't mean you're opting out of providing quality care health insurance for those that cannot get it through their workplace. And so, you know, you either believe in government or you believe in markets. Texas is an independent state in the fact that we believe in doing it for ourselves. And we trust the market, and we think we'll have a very functional health insurance market. Obamacare is failing.
Oh my God, it's failing. It's failing, guys. No, actually, it wasn't failing. There was no need for this vote. But obvious, of course, that happened exactly as he said. Hey, man, we weren't going to have a lot of votes to spare. They had 216 votes. Barely enough to squeeze this damn thing through. And unfortunately, that's what it did. But onto the substance here, right? Now, let's see. You either believe in government or you believe in markets. Actually, that's not necessarily true. Now, there's a lot of this, right? Now, look, let me get to this point here. That's sort of a false choice, okay? When you say, well, I believe in government, you either believe in government, you either believe in markets. No, because health insurance, first of all, shouldn't be a market good, but we've put that in there. The ACA put that in as a market good. And we're one of the only countries that actually does that. For everyone else, it seems to be a public good, right? It basically means that it's a false choice. What he's presenting is a false choice. You either believe in government, believe in markets. Well, we choose to believe in markets here in Texas. Really? Well, how's that going to work out? Texas is probably going to lose millions of people. They're going to get kicked off their health insurance thanks to this bill. And again, you had no idea what was actually in it. Now, on that, right? The fact that a lot of people are going to be losing their health insurance coverage under this bill if it goes through the Senate. Harlow responded with this.
I hear you, sir, and I understand the problems, but you said this is not opting out of quality care. But would it not, opt some people out of, against their will, affordable care? Yes, you have the Upton Amendment. Yes, you are putting $8 billion more into these high-risk pools, but almost all the experts you ask, including the head of the American Medical Association, including the head of the Kaiser Family Foundation, says it is not nearly enough money to make it affordable for folks to afford coverage that have pre-existing conditions.
Well, with respect, I would say they're wrong. I believe that markets will work. We think
how do you know that? I mean, these are the people.
This
is their job. This is their job to do these
high-risk pools existed before when there were these markets that you're talking about there, and when there were high-risk pools, generally speaking, they were more expensive for the people who were in them, and they cost more for the various government entities than had been predicted. That was under the system that you're trying to return to.
Facts? I don't believe in no facts. I mean, I believe the markets will work. He just gave you solid evidence, and there's solid historical evidence that when they tried high-risk pools, they didn't work. They didn't work whatsoever. There's a story out of Minnesota that I talked about earlier on one of the other videos that I had on this very subject, where this person was charged. He had a pre-existing condition. He was one of these high-risk pools. $18,000 a year was his premiums. That didn't include deductibles. It didn't include copays. That was just his premium per year. Regular people, working people, poor and middle class, they cannot afford $18,000 a year for health insurance. That is ridiculous. Now, that's, of course, what Harlow got to. Hey, access and availability and actually being able to use it. Well, if you don't have the money, you can't use your health insurance. And with this bill, we go back to the bad old days of where, yeah, sure, you have the availability to be able to purchase health insurance, but if you don't have the money, you can't pay for it, you don't get health insurance. And as far as how much money goes into the high-risk pools, $8 billion, not nearly enough. But hey, we don't care about what the experts say. We just want our tax cut. Now, finally, again, this goes to his answer of how we deal with those issues, how we deal with people not being able to afford pre-existing conditions. Check out his answer on that.
Well, we don't tell the states that opt out exactly how to create their high-risk pool. But if they will follow the example of the state of Maine, what Maine did, they didn't put high-risk people into a high-risk pool. They used the high-risk pool to subsidize the premium of high-risk people that were in a regular pool. So they basically bought down the charge that the high-risk person was paying in their regular plan by subsidizing that plan.
Well,
they didn't take that person out and put them into a separate pool.
Congressman, actually, what the state of Maine did, and I'm fascinated to know if you're willing to do this, is they assessed everyone. I mean, they put a tax on everyone for a month to pay for that. That was their funding mechanism. Are you willing to support a tax to do that, to put more money in these pools for high-risk individuals, for those with pre-existing conditions?
The plan that we're going to vote on today doesn't have any taxes in it.
I know, but I'm
have
saying to you, you're
subsidies.
pointing to Maine as an example. You're saying Maine worked, so this will work, and I'm telling our viewers Maine worked because of the tax. Are you willing to support a tax to make it work?
I don't know all there is to know about the Maine plan.
I don't know what's in that. I don't know what Maine did. Maine raised taxes. Well, I don't know about that. So how are you going to pay for it? How is this going to work? If you don't have any taxes in the bill, which this piece of legislation, it's actually a $600 billion tax cut, at least. I don't know. It hasn't been scored by the CBO, and there's a reason for that. This is a giant tax cut for wealthy people. The reason that it sort of kind of worked in Maine is that they were willing to raise taxes on people. They're not willing to do this. There are no taxes in this bill. How are they going to pay for it? Guy can't answer it. You saw him struggling when he was trying to explain what they were doing in Maine and how they actually made it work. It's because they don't know how they made it. They don't know how to make it work. This bill is basically, it's crap. It's crap that they can't explain how it works because they don't know. They don't know. It's all about a tax cut. That's really what it's about. I mean, how do you not know how this is going to work? That is part of your job, right? You should have at least some knowledge. But no, we don't know. We don't know. As far as the CBO scoring goes, there is a reason, and that reason, of course, is they know that this bill is going to be scored terribly by the CBO. That's why that's why they tried to rush it through. That's why they were successful at rushing it through the House. Now they got to get it through the Senate. If they can get it through the Senate, and that's an if, it's not 100% that it's going to go through, then it goes to Trump. He'll immediately sign it. They want to do that before the CBO comes out because they want to get it passed before people find out how terrible it is. How terrible. And of course, there was another part of this where Berman had asked, hey man, how do you know this is going to be better? How do you know the people's rates won't go up? Because again, that's their claim. All rates are going to go down. Well, the previous CBO score showed that it was going to go up. And after these concessions, the changes in the bill, the amendments, it will likely go up further because, again, this is a more conservative version. They didn't pass it before. They didn't pass Trumpcare originally because it was not conservative enough to some of the members. Now they're kicking poor people and people with pre-existing conditions in the teeth even more. So yes, it's going to be even worse. The premiums are going to be higher. And even the extra $8 billion, as I keep going back to, in those high-risk pools, that's not going to help. Every expert out there is saying that's not going to work. That's not enough. It's going to be more expensive federally, and it's going to be more expensive when it comes to people paying their premiums. This is a disaster of a bill. His response to that is, I know Obamacare is failing. This is ridiculous. It is absurd. Okay? Even with all of its problems, Obamacare is actually more popular. It's the most popular it's ever been. Because for some people it does work, and for many others, they look at the alternative and they think, boy, this sucks. I hate this bill. This is terrible. It had the original Trumpcare had a 17% approval rating. You think this is going to be better? That's why they're avoiding the CBO score. They don't want people to know how bad it is. Again, this is nothing more than a gigantic tax cut for the richest Americans. Again, no CBO score. I don't know how much it's going to save the richest Americans, but it's a multi-billion-dollar tax cut. And unfortunately, they're one step closer to passing it. And again, people like Barton, they don't care. They want this to go through because they have this world view that there seems to be no place in the world for government than defense. And that when it comes to sick people, we don't care about sick people. All we care about is cutting taxes, shrinking government, and you're on your own, buddy. Let's throw some bootstraps at you, and you can go off. If you get sick, you die. That's essentially what's going on here. Again, all about the tax cuts for people like Barton. And for Trump, this is all about winning. He doesn't know anymore that's in the bill. Actually, he knows less of what's in the bill than Barton does. But he doesn't care because it's, hey, I want to win. We're going to shove this through. I want a victory here. I don't care how much this is going to hurt my constituents, my voters, because it will. Trust me. And look, I don't even care how much more unpopular it's going to make me. All I want to do is I just want to win, and that's what matters. All I care about are optics. This is the Republican Party in a nutshell. If this goes through the Senate and Trump approves it, this is going to be an epic disaster, not only for the millions of people who it's going to affect, but also for the Republican Party that is going to get crushed in the polls in 2018. So we'll see what happens. I hope it doesn't go through because, again, the human cost far outweighs the political gains. I ain't interested in your politics. What I'm interested in is people having actual health care. And that's what should matter to everyone. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.